Someone's hand on my shoulder potentially ended my 5-year relationship tonight. TAA created to post this. I apologize for any mistakes or lack of clarity, or if I violate any rules. But I desperately need some outside viewpoints because I'm so absolutely lost at this point. Basically what the title says. I work in hospitality in a busy section of bars, restaurants, clubs. It's insanely busy, but easily half the crowd is regulars, staff from other local venues. After work tonight, my coworker B wanted to go get one drink. I was hesitant and really just wanted to go home, but she asked my significant other T, together 4+ years, who was picking me up, and he agreed. We went to a bar that's mostly just other hospitality workers and we know 75% of the people there. My significant other, who doesn't drink and never has, was a few feet behind us talking to our manager who happened to be there as well. B and I were sitting at the bar when someone we've served multiple times at our bar walked in. He spotted us and came over to thank us for serving him and his girlfriend a little while ago. He placed his hand on both our shoulders, mine and B, while he was saying this. I acknowledged him politely, but shrugged his hand off without being rude about it. He was kind of drunk, so he repeated himself a few times and placed his hand on both our arms or shoulders, in a totally non-sexual way, more a friendly and for balance way. I tried to be polite and shifted away from B and regular and didn't say anything else or engage beyond that. Knowing how my significant other is, I probably should have just gotten up, but regular was harmless, and I didn't want to leave B at the bar. Plus my significant other was literally a few feet behind me and I figured he would step in if it was an issue. All this factored into me not moving sooner, plus I didn't want to cause a scene since I really didn't feel like regular was behaving on a way that merited that. Just drunk, friendly and wanting to thank us for good service. I guess I figured wrong, because I did end up getting up after about 3 to 4 minutes and walking over to him and immediately knew that there was a problem. We had a massive fight with him accusing me of being untrustworthy and inappropriate because I clearly don't know how to act in public, and made him look foolish because I allowed this person to touch my arm multiple times and didn't verbally tell him to stop. By the time we got home it had snowballed into him gathering up his gaming system, some of his clothes, wallet, etc., calling his baby mama to come pick him up and storming out of the house. He essentially broke up with me, told me he never wanted to speak to me again because if that was how I acted in front of him he clearly couldn't trust me when he wasn't around, and now I was single and could fuck off with whoever, he didn't want me. When I tried to follow him outside he threatened to call the cops on me and actually did, but then told them it wasn't an emergency and never mind, but still. My head is spinning and I can't even comprehend what the fuck just happened. I know I should have been more forceful in telling the guy to remove his hand. But I had no clue it would escalate like this. I guess my question is, what do I do now? I know the general be done advice, but after 5 years and a life together I want to fix this. How do I get him to understand that this doesn't mean I'm just out rubbing up on every man I come in contact with? TDLR. Regular from work kept putting his hand on my arm and my not removing it somehow lead to a massive fight which I have no clue how to fix it. He left with his baby mama. Talk about a hypocrite. You can't have some regular touch your shoulder, but he can tote his gaming system to his baby mama's house. He even called the cops on you. Hell nah. I think you've been in this toxic relationship 5 years too long. It doesn't sound like you've done anything wrong here, and your, hopefully ex-partner is either tremendously insecure, jealous, controlling, or a combination of the three. To coin a phrase, the trash has taken itself out. Edit. Reading OP's comments, it sounds like this isn't the first time he's flipped out over nothing like this. The guy sounds incredibly jealous, to the point of it being abusive. Honestly, I don't think it's worth trying to salvage this. You'll just be walking on eggshells for the rest of your life. Is that really what you want? Yay, that guy wanted out. Saw an opportunity and took it. Worst of all, called baby mama for rescue. Clearly immature, insecure in the relationship. Live your best life. He's dramatic for calling the cops on such a minor argument. Seriously. Knowing how my significant other is, I probably should have just gotten up, but regular was harmless. So you know your significant other is unstable when a friend, regular touches your arm or shoulder. You know this. Why are you trying to convince yourself that you are at fault for having a chat with a customer? Just because you have been in a relationship for years, doesn't mean you should continue in it. He has done you a huge favor by breaking up with you. This man is abusive and toxic. The fact that he called his baby mama to pick him up is a huge red flag and hypocritical as hell. Don't be surprised if he is cheating on you. Please pack up all his things and arrange for him to pick them up. Change all the locks on your doors today. The manner in which he handled this situation is alarming and disrespectful. Thank him for the breakup and go and live your best life. This is the wake-up you needed. Every day you spend in a shitty relationship is a day you won't meet somebody decent. Does that help? Sounds like he'd already arranged to go to his ex and contrived a bullshit reason to break it off with you. My advice is always this. Imagine your friend came to you and told you what you've told us. Do you really think your advice would be to try win the guy back? 'Cause I think if you gave it some thought you'd really struggle to give someone that advice, so why would you do it yourself? 21. Don't know how to get along with my parents after seeing them beat my sister, 22, again. So to make a long story short, 21, moved out from my parents' house in March 2020 to a nearby city from hometown since I did not want to deal with my parents, specifically my mother's abuse while attending university and working. Per my mother's request, I've started visiting my family on weekends again after I didn't do so for 2 months because the verbal and emotional abuse just got too much for me. She thinks I didn't come home because I got back together with my boyfriend who she does not approve of. This time when I came back, my sister, 22, got in major trouble. I will not get in depth, but it was justified that my parents got angry. However, what I can't deal with is my parents beating us. So naturally when my mom found out, she started screaming and beating my sister, which is what I could not deal with. So did my dad, since he does everything my mom tells him to. It was horrific for me because this behavior makes me feel like I have a mental breakdown, reminds me of my miserable childhood with them, and just scares me. I left the next morning and did not tell her. She is now threatening me to sell the car that my father lets me use while he has one from work. She knows that would be bad for me because I am starting my dream job in March with a 30 million commute by car that has almost no train connections and would be a major step in my professional career. My question is how I should handle our relationship in the future. Ideally I would like to go NC, but I can't since I am dependent on her and the car, even though it is my dad's, because he does whatever she tells him to do. He has told me that he is not interested in selling the car and it is all my mother's idea. Furthermore, I tried to make myself independent in all other aspects from her. I pay my own rent, health insurance, gas, tuition and living cost. I do not know how to interact with my mother and definitely need advice here. Okay. First, you are entirely justified in feeling this, and I wish the two of them would get arrested. Not only is she physically abusing you, and your father is physically abusive, she is also financially abusing you. Are you afraid of taking student loans? Loans are never a great thing, but you could go to your financial aid office, explain your situation, and file as an independent. Okay, why not call the police and have her arrested for assault and stop going back? If the car is your only problem, I'm sure there'll be a way to get a cheap used car. I assume you're paying for gas by yourself anyways. Don't let her blackmail you. Imagine the situation where you're not bothered at all, if she takes the car away. And can't your sister move in with you? I can't believe they are abusing her physically and mentally. Hope you're getting through all of this. I'm a bit lost with the ages here. You and your sister are adults, and your parents are beating you? Tell your sister to report them to the police and have them prosecuted for assault. Or if you don't think she'll do it, report the matter to the police yourself. I know you've talked about the car, but you're talking about a car versus someone beating up your sister here. I can't speak for others, but that's a no-brainer for me. There's no way the car is worth more than your sister's health. Can you buy a beat-up banger for a few euros to keep you going until you get your new job? Or if you can't afford a car, how about a motorbike or moped? Many of those have very low insurance and virtually no road tax at all if they're less than 50 cc, for example. For the record, I don't think you are selfish. You are surviving. You had a very abusive and disorganized upbringing, and your sister sounds like she was the golden child for most those years. She wasn't a support you could lean on, so you had to make decisions that benefited you and to get you out while she made her own choices. I understand not upturning the apple cart for her. This car is the last tie. You go get your job so you make enough money to buy your own car and you cut that last cord. When you are finally free, then you can better make decision when it comes to your family. Putting yourself first is not automatically selfish when coming from such a terrible and complicated situation. One that you, as a victim yourself, aren't even fully out of. Beating children is wrong. Heating a 22-year-old is ridiculous. Call the police next time. It seems your sister is so beaten down mentally and emotionally that she needs intervention. You really let them beat your sister and didn't call the police? Is taking that train to your new job really that impossible? You said there's few options, but there's options, still, right? If the only thing holding you back is the car, maybe try to research a way of living without it, maybe a bike. Best of luck to you. Boyfriend doesn't practice what he preaches. A year ago me and my boyfriend had an argument because of social media. While laying in bed he saw me liking a photo one of my friends posted and got really upset. I asked him what was wrong with it, didn't he also like his friend's pictures on Instagram? He said no, cause to him he felt like cheating. He argued with me and wanted to go through my phone cause he suspected I was cheating on him. He didn't find anything but I still felt bad afterwards. I felt so controlled I freezed and couldn't even stand up for myself or talk back, and I hate myself for this. Last night I had the brilliant idea to go through the people he followed and his likes. Worst mistake of my life. I discovered that 3/4 of the people he follows are girls and he only liked thirst traps, butts, legs and feet even. I feel so betrayed and confused. He's working most of the day, we pass every evening together, so I don't understand where he finds the time to like all of those pics. He also told me how he's not interested in social media and wanted to quit Instagram cause he barely used it. Oh, I see. Now I don't know what to do. I feel like shit and I'd like to confront him about this, but I don't want to sound childish with the "OMG you're liking other girls' pics on Instagram" thing. Also, he's really slick and can talk his way out of every conversation, so it looks like I'm on the wrong side. Delete him. When he told you he considered you liking your friend's photos cheating, it was because he was projecting his guilt onto you. Your boyfriend knew his liking activities on Instagram were disrespectful in your relationship. The hypocrisy is unreal with this one. Honestly, his reaction to you liking someone's photo and then making you show him your phone makes me think he's guilty and trying to project his actions onto you. Pretty classic cheater behavior to blame the other person for what you are doing to take the heat off of yourself. As someone who has been there, it won't stop. Unless you want to keep getting hurt over and over or consistently question their behavior and motives, it could benefit you to cut your losses and break it off. Screenshot it and bring it up with him. Be like, "So you said you think liking other people's pictures is cheating and made me feel really bad about it. So how do you explain all of the pictures you have liked?" And make sure you do screenshot it so he can't delete it all and try to minimize the whole thing or slick his way out of it. Honestly, it just sounds like he is trying to be controlling to me, so I would dip, but if you don't want to, then you definitely need to bring it up with him and hold your ground. It is clear as day that there is a double standard here, so don't let him talk his way out of it. That's a no for me, dog. Don't let people control what you do. Personally, I don't think confronting him is that helpful or useful. You'll just argue. Go back to doing what you want. Like what you want. If he mentions it, then tell him you know he likes women on IG and that you won't tolerate him controlling you. Just because he's not technically cheating, it doesn't mean he's not technically disrespecting and controlling you. However, behaviors like this are common for people who are doing things behind your back that they know is wrong. I would still keep my eyes open. He does practice what he preaches. By his own admission, he's cheating on you. You don't have to confront him if you know he'll just change the narrative. You know the truth, so you can just leave. My wife is perfect in almost every way. Except one. Me, M36, and my wife, F31, have a great relationship. We love each other very much, rarely fight, and even when we do, it's not really fighting. It's more her telling me to do the washing up better and me reminding her to clean her hair out of the shower plug, so pretty minor stuff. There's just one problem. She's quite conservative in the bedroom. Now, I don't want to do anything particularly crazy, but I don't even feel like I can ask her to try more stuff. I want to delve into my kinkier side while we still can, but I am one of those people who really hates rejection, so don't even want to ask as I don't want to make things awkward. Silly, I know. When I say conservative, I mean rarely do we do anything more than missionary and very occasionally doggy style. I don't want to do anything particularly wild. Maybe just having sex in a different room or some more oral sex would be nice. The kinkiest thing I would like to try would be dressing up, you know, a dirty nurse or a naughty schoolgirl, something like that. And of course I am willing to try new things too. I always ask her if she wants to try anything new and she just says, "Not really," and we just do the same old same old. So any ideas or tips would be really welcome. Have a frank conversation. Tell her that you'd like to try X. Communication is key in a relationship. Trust is key. Do you trust her to openly listen to your needs? If not, there are deeper issues involved. You want her to step outside her comfort zone to please you, but you won't step outside your comfort zone. Don't want to risk rejection, to try to make it happen. If you want to change things up in the bedroom, or other rooms, she has no way of knowing this unless you bring it up. Maybe she won't like the idea at first, but at least it'll be on her radar then and give her something to think about. Well, initiate sex in another room, take it from there. Give her a great oral and ask for her to do the same. Take control over different positions during sex and raise her body language. As for the cosplay, well, wait for Halloween. Do it that night and ask if you can do it randomly sometimes. I can tell you from experience, I've heard from many therapists that never fighting, or not fighting, about anything of significance can be a sign there is a lack of true communication or connection between partners. If the content of your fights is just cleaning, I'm wondering where the real humans are in your relationship. And that lack of connection that you may be taking for granted might be a root of this other element. When you are finally ready to talk to her about this, don't make the mistake of asking for a naughty schoolgirl. That should be retired. Try writing her a letter. My husband and I had a weird, though different, issue a few years into our marriage and it bothered me, but I didn't know how to bring it up. I ended up writing him a long letter and I know he read it, because he started making a huge effort in this area, but we never spoke about it. Does she enjoy sex? You're wanting some pretty tame stuff, to be honest. Maybe try explaining exactly what you want. Do you want to try something new? Is pretty ambiguous and a bit more off-putting, to the non-adventurous, then, can we try some lingerie? I'd really like it if we did oral more. What is a specific fantasy you have?